Good evening. Welcome to the last meeting of 2020. We pray to God 2021 is going to be a healthier time. The Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Board of Trustees are now convened in a regular board meeting on Monday, December the 14th, 2020, in the boardroom of the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Instructional Support Center, located at 10,300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas, at 6 p.m. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our television viewers to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of the meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by sections 551.071 through 551.084 of the Texas Government Code. These proceedings are airing live on Comcast Channel 16 and the district website. They will also be available as video on demand on the district website following tonight's meeting. For the video to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. Please do it. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize our Community Leadership Committee members who are in attendance this evening. If you're not familiar, the Community Leadership Committee is made up of a number of community members, and they meet once a month. We have one person here tonight, Stacy Anderson. Would you please stand? She's in the back if you don't see her, okay? Invocation and the pledge of, I don't think do we have Boy Scouts? No, we do not have Boy Scouts. The invocation for tonight's meeting will be given by board member Dr. John Ogletree. And I've got to tell you, if you've never heard Dr. Ogletree speak at his church, it is an event. I'm just going to tell you. Before the invocation, I would like to introduce the Jersey Village High School AFJROTC cadets who will be presenting the colors in this evening. Carrying the U.S. flag is Cadet Captain Gabriela Lopez. Carrying the Texas flag is Cadet Captain Brian Flores. On right guard is Cadet First Lieutenant Bianca Alvarez. And on left guard is Cadet First Lieutenant Mariana Quezada. These cadets present the colors to you under the direction of Faye Hardy, Senior Master Sergeant, retired United States Air Force. Please stand for the invocation and then the pledge.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight. We thank you because we are breathing. There have been over 300,000 who've lost their lives to this coronavirus. And here we are, breathing. And we thank you that this district was able to open up our schools and do the best we could to provide an education for all the children in this district. We thank you for those who came to school in person, those who did the virtual learning. We thank you for every principal counselor, local school staff, every teacher who sacrificed. We thank you that we begin with much anxiety, much uncertainty, but here we are breathing. We are also thankful for the administration who has done a superb job in planning and working with our local campuses. We're thankful for this board who has stayed together. And Father, as we now approach this holiday season, we can say Merry Christmas. And we ask that you would let this time off that will soon occur be a time of rest, reflection, and a time of gratitude, because we are breathing. So bless our meeting tonight, God, all the reports, all the things that we have to vote on, all the new people that are coming on to serve. We thank you. Bless us and let us enjoy this season. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Arms. Oath.
You may be seated. Board member Debbie Blackshear will read the district's vision and mission statement for the benefit of the audience. Ms. Blackshear.
Thank you. Our vision at CFISD is formed from the acronym LEAD, to learn, empower, achieve, dream, LEAD. Our mission is to maximize every student's potential through rigorous and relevant learning experiences, preparing students to be 21st century global leaders.
Thank you, Ms. Blackshear. The superintendent will make remarks and announcements, including honors and achievements earned by staff and students in recent weeks. Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Covey, trustees. Representatives from Toshiba International Corporation visited Horn Elementary School on November 6th to work on beautification projects and present the school with gifts through their Adopt a School partnership. The projects included painting picnic benches, restoring Horn's garden, and reviving the lemonade stand and information booth. In addition to the beautification projects, TIC gifted Horn a water bottle filling station and surprised the school with a $2,000 check. TIC and Horn have been Adopt a School partners since 2018. And I would say we've got dozens of Adopt a School partnerships throughout this district, but we still have schools available. So if you would be interested in adopting one of our campuses, contact Bevan Gordon. And I think it's bevan.gordon@cfisd.net. So there's an opportunity. The Bridgeland and Cypress Woods High School marching bands will represent CFISD at the UIL State Marching Band Contest after being among the 4 bands selected to advance from the UIL Area 1 Marching Band Contest. held December 5th at Cypress-FCU Stadium. The state competition for Class 6A will take place tomorrow, December 15th, at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. And one little addition to that is we actually set a UIL record at the area competition. We had all 12 of our high schools make it to the area competition, which is the competition right before you go to the highest level of achievement, which is state. So that was a UIL record and something we're really proud of. Bridgeland High School's volleyball team completed its season in the 6A region quarterfinal after falling to Klein High School, while Cypress Creek, Cy Fair, and Cy Ranch High Schools concluded their seasons as area finalists. In cross country, the Bridgeland High School boys advanced to the Region 2 6A UIL Cross Country State Championship, taking 9th place overall. 3 CFISD football teams won their bi-district postseason games December 10th through the 12th and advanced to the area playoffs December 17th through 19th. In Division I, Region 3 6A bi-district playoffs, Cy Fair High School defeated Houston Westside, moving on to meet Katy Tompkins on this Friday, December 18th. Jersey Village High School beat Houston Bel Air and moves on to meet Fort Bend Ridge Point on Saturday, December 19th. In Division I, says Region 3, but it's actually Region 2 6A bi-district playoffs. Bridgeland High School defeated Klein Collins, advancing to meet Spring Decaney on December 17th, which is this Thursday, at CFFCU Stadium. Congratulations to 3 CFISD standouts among 25 finalists named for the Touchdown Club of Houston's 2020 High School Scholar Athlete of the Year Award. Recognized by the Touchdown Club were Cy Falls Senior Gabriel Luke, Cy Wood Senior Casey Cogdill, and Cy Creek Senior Connor Cook. Certainly it was a memorable season. It was a tough season, but I'm extremely proud of the athletic department for making sure that our cross country, our volleyball, and our football teams all were able to get a full season in. And certainly I would be remiss if I didn't thank our fine arts department for making sure that all of our choir programs, our band programs, our drill team, cheerleaders, and everyone who got to have that great high school experience this year in a most difficult time. So appreciative of all the people that made that possible. Before I turn it over to Roy, I do want to say very quickly that we're losing 2 really outstanding principals at semester. Of course, when we lose principals, that's always an opportunity for people to step up. But longtime Hamilton Middle School Principal Kim Sempe will be retiring, and we'll certainly miss Kim. And then longtime Aragon Middle School Principal Maria Mamaw will also be retiring, and we certainly appreciate their service to CFISD and the difference they've made. Having said that, I'll turn it over to Roy Garcia to introduce our 2 new principals.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. President Covey and Board of Trustees, we are excited to introduce 2 new middle school principals this evening to you and to the CFISD community. We will begin with our new principal for Aragon Middle School, Mr. Lloyd Turner. I will give a brief overview of Lloyd's professional experience and then give him an opportunity to address the board and introduce his family. Lloyd received both his bachelor and master's degrees from Prairie View A&M University, and he is currently working on his superintendent certification at the University of Texas at Arlington. Lloyd served as an adaptive behavior teacher at Hamilton Middle School, a science teacher at Arnold Middle School, and a content instructional specialist at Libi Middle School. He joined the inaugural staff at Cypress Park High School in 2016 as an assistant principal. Lloyd participated in the Teacher Leadership Institute, was a participant in the Aspiring Principal Institute, and has served as a summer school principal. Lloyd and his wife Leslie, who is a kindergarten teacher in Katy ISD, have an adorable 20-month-old Lori Grace. Lloyd shared this: "Outside my passion for teaching and learning, I enjoy serving at my church, running, trying new places to eat, and of course, spending time with my wonderful family." Please join me in congratulating Mr. Lloyd Turner.
Mr. Bob Covey, trustees, and Superintendent Dr. Henry, it is with a grateful heart that I thank you for this amazing opportunity to serve as principal of Aragon Middle School. I'm excited, extremely excited, to take on this challenge and to love and lead our Aragon community and build on the 20-year traditions with excellence. I am excited to have my family with me today. I do have my wife, Leslie, who is a kindergarten teacher in KDISD, as well as my 21-month-old daughter, Lori Grace, who I'm sure you've heard throughout the meeting so far. I also have family that are streaming, so they're there, and I would love to acknowledge my Cypress Park family who made it out, as well as my new Aragon family. I think some are here, and then also both Park and Aragon are streaming live. So thank you all for your love and support. I'm just elated to take on this new adventure. And again, thank you for this opportunity and trusting me with our most prized possession, our CFISD students. Thank you.
Thank you, Lloyd. Our final principal introduction this evening is for our new principal at Hamilton Middle School, Mr. Jason Tellis. Jason received his bachelor and master's degrees from Stephen F. Austin State University. Jason served as a science teacher and assistant principal at Cook Middle School. He also served as an assistant principal at Cypress Ranch High School for 5 years and has been the associate principal at Cypress Ranch for the past 4 years. Jason also participated in administrative leadership training, the Aspiring Principal Institute, and served as a summer school principal. And just a little trivia here, he also served as a summer school administrator from 2009 to 2017. Jason and his wife, Catherine, have 4 children: Grace, a 10th grader at Cypress Ranch; Grant, an 8th grader at Spillane; Rhett, a 6th grader at Spillane; and Faith, a 4th grader at Woodard Elementary. Jason shared he enjoys being outdoors. He has competed in obstacle course races and ran his first trail marathon last December. He also enjoys woodworking, as his dad was a carpenter. He is a first-generation college graduate, and he attained verbal and written fluency in Spanish. He completed a 2-year mission, which included teaching the Hispanic population in San Jose, California. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Jason Tellis.
Mr. Covey, Board of Trustees, Dr. Henry, I thank you very much for this opportunity, for the trust and confidence you have put in me to serve as principal at Hamilton Middle School. Back in 2002, December, I was interviewing at I'm from East Texas, a small town up there, Apple Springs. And a little bit about my background, I was offered 3 positions: high school Spanish teacher at a 1A school, a kindergarten teacher at a 2A school, and then a 6th grade science teacher here. And I've never regretted coming to Cyfair ISD. It's been a wonderful place. I love it. My time at Cook was my foundational period of being an educator. I had a wonderful time at Cypress Ranch. I'm really going to miss that community there. And I can't tell you how excited I am to join the Hamilton Middle School community. I've heard so much about it. In the past few days, I've been on campus visiting with Kim Simpey and just learning a little bit more about what makes them such a great campus with their academic success, extracurricular success. And one of the things that I'm going to be passionate about is making sure that there's a place for every student on that campus to educate the whole child and just not the academic side of that student. And thank you again for the opportunity. I have my beautiful family here. This is my wife, Catherine. We met a few months after I moved to Houston. Then the Grace is sophomore at Cypress Ranch. Grant and Rhett both attend Spillane. And then my daughter, Faith, she attends Woodard Elementary. All right, thank you very much.
Dr. Henry.
Just one more thing I wanted to add, since it is the end of 2020, but I would like to give a pat on the back to Roy Garcia. One of the reasons that we're able to hire so many quality people like these two gentlemen is we had a vision about 9 years ago of how we could develop leaders in our district to make sure that our bench was always deep. And these two gentlemen right here are an example of how deep our bench is. And so, Roy, thank you for all the work that you've done to put that together in your team, and looking forward to seeing both of these young men thrive and move forward in their career. So thank you.
We'll now take a 5-minute break to congratulate and allow them to leave if they want to, although you just got hired in those positions. I'm sure you want to stay the whole night. Public comments. Patrons who have duly registered per policy BED local may address the board and make public comments on an agenda item during or before the board's consideration of the item. The board may allow public comment on agenda items at all meetings. The board will continue with the remaining agenda after the registered patrons have had an opportunity to speak. Tonight we have one speaker. It is Stacy Anderson. Stacy?
President Covey, Dr. Henry, and Board of Trustees. I'm here tonight to offer y'all some encouragement after the end of a very hard semester. I am out and about quite a bit in the community, and I take every opportunity to talk to people about what's going on in the district, and unanimously, everyone has been supportive. So though I'm going to say I a lot, I'm really speaking for a lot of people. We want to thank you for your efforts to keep students and teachers at the forefront of every decision during this unprecedented time while managing the financial impact prudently. Rewarding teachers and staff for their outstanding effort under such difficult conditions with the Lead Safely stipend is courageous, given the district again finds itself unsure of continued federal and state COVID funding. I'm glad effort is being made to allow the superintendent to add additional sick days to employee leave banks for the purpose of time off due to COVID. The number of district personnel finding themselves in this situation will surely continue to go up before it gets measurably better. I applaud your resolution asking Governor Abbott to include public school district personnel in the official state definition of frontline workers. Our economy cannot get back on track until all children are safely back in school and every student is supported in a way that enables them to learn and exceed most effectively. The quickest way to make that happen is to ensure vaccines are available for those workers who interact with the most people on a daily basis, and school employees clearly fit that description. I will be reaching out to Governor Abbott myself and encouraging my circle of friends to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. We will now proceed with board comments portion of the agenda. 5A, the board member may make a comment during this portion of the agenda without prior posting being required. Comment items may not pertain to the character of any student, staff, or board member and may not be discussed or deliberated upon at this meeting. So I'm going to start over here with Julie. Do you have some comments, Julie?
I just wanted to tell everyone thank you for all of your hard work, teachers, principals, administration, nutrition services, transportation, custodial services, for all of your hard work and your efforts this semester. It's been a long, hard semester for sure. I hope everyone has a very well-deserved, relaxing, recharging break. I encourage you to take care of yourselves and each other. Be sure to wear your masks, wash your hands, social distance, and enjoy this time off with your families. And have a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. Do you have anything?
I just echo that and just wish to everyone a very Merry Christmas, and pray that you have much joy, and that we'll look forward to seeing you in 2021.
Thank you, Dr. O. Mr. Ryan?
Well, I'll echo what they said, but I do want to say how nice it is to see our meeting last month. We had a lot of people that were out from COVID, and it's nice to see that y'all are all back and healthy and with us. So I am very grateful for that, because now you get to lead the meeting, Bob. So
Yeah, but you did such a great job, and you wore a coat.
it's amazing.
Ms. Blackshear.
I too want to express my deep appreciation for our teachers, nurses, paraprofessionals, custodians, bus drivers, food service workers, counselors, administrators, and all the many other district employees who have gone above and beyond the calling this school year. You have done an amazing job. You have accomplished the unimaginable and the unbelievable. My wish for you is a Merry Christmas and a healthy and blessed New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson.
When I was in elementary school, I remember a project where we needed to interview our parents regarding a historical event from their childhood. Both of my parents were born before the last pandemic and grew up with those lessons. All I remember from my mom was her comment that you look for joy and hope, and my dad said that he learned to carry on. Back in March, I wondered and worried about where and how we would be as a district and a community come December. We are carrying on and doing those things as we should. I attended, as did others, the first half of the UIL competition and was impressed with the marching and musicianship of our students, but also the joy and pride evidenced by parents and others in the stands and the obvious excitement of the students on the field. In touring campuses, I saw happy students in an environment constructed with safety measures in place. At Leader Elementary, the sense of community was pervasive, with some classes in person only, some connect only, and some hybrid. At Aragon, the custodial staff carefully sanitized the walls that our middle school students love to touch. And of course, at Betty Carpenter, we were caring for those who needed it the most. It was obvious that all the students I saw everywhere were happy to be in school. Vaccines were delivered today in Houston, which brings us hope, and hope will sustain us for the next 3 very challenging months. When I am out in public and almost on a daily basis, community members express their support. I thank the community for their ongoing support of the district through 9 difficult months, and I know that same support will be there for the coming 9 challenging months. I tip my hat to the planning of senior management who prepared for the possibility of a black swan event. Their flexibility in being able to pivot and providing a stimulus, both fiscal and in time, which created some joy and hope. And I, like my colleagues, tip my hat to the team effort of all of our employees in carrying on with our mission.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. In the past week, I had the opportunity to visit Swinky, Keith, and Salyards. Ironically, my 5 grandchildren go to those 3 schools. I don't know how that worked out. But what I will say is it was an opportunity, and if you don't know, our board divides up the entire district, and we make visits to the schools. So anywhere between 12 to 14 schools we try to visit during the year. Because of COVID, we did not do that in the spring of last year, and we waited until later in the year in the fall. But we are doing it now, and it's been awesome. I really wanted to see what it was like in the schools on those 2 levels, elementary and middle school. And I will tell you that seeing kindergarten and pre-kindergarten walking around with masks and in a line and doing the protocol that is required was amazing. And I understood from the teachers that they don't have to stay on those kids to put their mask on. They're very aware and they do it. And I saw kids that were working together. I saw kids that were working with kids that were virtual, and they were in a collaborative effort of working with those that were face-to-face and those virtual. So I was extremely impressed with what I saw in the schools, and like Mr. Jackson mentioned, I saw a lot of happiness. I saw a lot of kids that felt like they were getting back as close to normal as possible. On the other side of that, as a member of the TASB board, which represents and works with the 1,200 school districts in Texas, I will tell you that there is going to be a move, and there is a move right now. There is a committee meeting that is trying to do away with the advocacy efforts from entities like school districts, cities, towns, counties, and they're trying to make that a non-issue, and that people are wasting taxpayer money in going and advocating for whatever they're advocating for. The sad thing about that is, and has been pointed out a number of times, if we do something like that, then it's going to cost the district more money as we go up and talk to our legislators and contact them. Because whether you know it or not, there's anywhere between 5,000 to 6,000 bills every other year that are filed. And of those, probably around 30 to 40% have to do with some type of education. So it is important that we are sustaining our advocacy ability to be able to talk to our legislators and share with them what the effect is of whatever the bill might be. So if you're out there, and I would appreciate if you would feel entitled to call your legislator and talk to them about this. That's all I've got. I do appreciate everything that we saw this district do from March all the way up until now. And I know it's not been easy, and I know we've had challenges. But I will just say that I've seen them rise to the challenge, and I've seen their ability to be flexible and to re-look at whatever's going on. I'm extremely proud of everybody that is teaching our kids, which is our future. And Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah, all of the others. We will now proceed with citizen participation portion of the agenda. Patrons who are duly registered per policy BED local may address the board regarding matters of concern or interest to the district other than the character of any student, staff, or board member. The board may not act upon any matter that is not listed under the action item portion of the agenda. Tonight we have no one signed up to speak. We will now proceed with the reports portion of the agenda. 7A, the administration will provide a design development report on the progress of the design of the new administration building and the Visual and Performing Arts Center. And I turn this over to Roy Sprague. And our Roy, I forgot.
We'll bring up Dan Gross, who's going to introduce PBK.
Sorry, Dan. I didn't have your name down.
Good evening. President Covey, trustees, Dr. Henry, associate superintendents. It's my distinct pleasure to join you this evening, and we're super excited to share a design development update for the Visual Performing Arts Center and new administration building. It's been a very, very collaborative partnership spanning about 18 months and including today, 234 design meetings to show you the design effort that you'll see in the presentation today. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce PBK Architects, who you know very well, but we have Representatives Eric Smith, Brandon Ross, and Jorge Tiscarino. Brandon Ross will get us started on the formal presentation.
Thank you, Dan. All sanitized. President Covey, Dr. Henry, members of the board, we'd like to express our sincere gratitude and excitement for the opportunity to work on this project and to present to you tonight. We also want to extend that thank you to administrators, because in those 230 and counting meetings, we've met with your superintendent, your cabinet, all associate superintendents, assistant superintendents, directors, and it feels like we have met everyone. And what it's done is it's allowed us to really gain valuable input from a large amount of stakeholders in this building. And so we believe tonight it'll show it's produced a better product and a betterment for Cypher ISD. So my name's Brandon Ross. I'm a partner with PBK. Presenting tonight with me is Jorge Tiscarino. And our team extends as well beyond this boardroom. So we have over 30 people actively working on this project with architects, interior designers. Eric's here. It's our chairman of the board is interested and involved in this project. So thank you guys again. We're going to discuss the administration building and the VPAC. So both buildings are situated on one 26-acre plot of land central to the district and inside of, there we go, and inside of a parcel of land that's located just to the west of Cy-Fair High School. This allows for flexibility, efficiency, and for synergy between existing campuses and centrally located in your district. So bordered by 290, Cypress North Houston, and Matsky Road, both buildings will be situated on one site. It's an efficient use of a parcel for the district, and it allowed us to maximize the use of that land to house both buildings, all the appropriate site parking, paving, delivery, loading areas efficiently on one site. So zooming in a little bit, here's the site plan so that you can see the entrances to both buildings, and you'll see the new administration building and the Visual Performing Arts Center. We're going to focus on the VPAC, which we've shortened from Visual Performing Arts Center, in all of those meetings first, and we're going to walk you through all of them, both buildings, and the design, the floor plan, and some exciting design development. But we wanted you to know that these two buildings being situated on one parcel of land is an efficient use. We've studied this, multiple options. We've laid this out with one central plant, which will serve and provide utilities to both buildings. That's an efficient use of land and a smart design concept, similar to what you guys have done at multiple ed villages. So it allows for a smaller floor plate, a more efficient building, stacking things vertically in both buildings, and supporting them so that visitors, occupants, employees, everyone can conveniently access both buildings. Here we go. So zooming into the VPAC, what you're looking at here is the enlarged floor plan, the first floor plate of the Visual Performing Arts Center located on the south side of that 26-acre parcel. The VPAC has been programmed for 1,500 seats inside of the auditorium, which is larger than your high school. Your high school auditorium currently is 800 to 900 seats. The district needed to expand its facilities to allow for roughly 1,600 student performances throughout the year. So as you all know, that becomes very challenging both in size and in quantity to have occur at all of your campus facilities. So this central facility will provide some relief both in size and in quantity for future activities. It's set up to support true visual performing arts, to support your band, your orchestra, your dance, your arts. It's truly an all-inclusive facility, and it has spaces to support all of those.
Yes, and then as Brendan was mentioning, we also were partnered with a nationally recognized consultants. So you can see here, Jaffe Holden and Truler Shook in regards to auditorium planning and performance centers planning, and as well Jaffe Holden as performance venue acousticians. And literally, actually, Mr. Mark Jaffe literally wrote the book on acoustics on auditoriums that he keeps telling us to buy from Amazon, by the way. But so just a few things to see in here in this one. So this is the first level plan. As Brandon was mentioning, this auditorium or PAC or VPAC is actually almost 3 to 4 levels, and we'll go through them. It gets a little complicated, but if you think of it almost like a hobby center, so you'll have the main orchestra. The orchestra is kind of in 2 levels. If you can see it here, the bottom level is what they call the orchestra, and then the kind of the right half is the parterre, so it's just a little bit higher. Then we'll have the first balcony and second balcony, so very similar to hobby center. Obviously, just scale more for a educational approach. So when you see the red arrow, that will be the main entrance, and that one is actually facing 290. So we thought, as you saw on the site plan, the VPAC is actually positioned right almost at 290, so it'll be highly visible from 290 from going north and going south. And you'll get to see it a little bit more on some of the renderings and aerials, and as well on the animation. Some of the other things that just to kind of get a flow of the overall circulation and locations of this VPAC is where the 2 arrows came up. That is actually, again, kind of the main entrance for for the front of the auditorium. That is actually toward the parterre, so it'll take you up. Everything you see around the lobby, that is actually a well-designed to scale lobby that is not only for the pre-function and for the movement of, like we're saying, 1,500 people, but as well, there will be spaces actually allocated for the visual kind of display, for arts, for rotation of students and teachers, and even some visiting artists as well. Then the two arrows that came more in the middle, those are the two kind of the orchestra main entrance. So actually the main level will have 4 points of entry to the main house. So now this is the same way, the same plan, but this is now the parterre level. So where I clicked and the two arrows come up, that's actually where you're coming in again from the main front. It'll take you just like maybe 5 or 6 feet, and then you'll actually go and enter right there on the main front of the lobby. Now, almost on the second level, this will be actually the fine arts offices. So it was decided, since we're very combined between the new administration and the VPAC, this fine arts offices are actually the offices for the director of fine arts and some of the other support staff and employees. But it was decided that it was probably a better house over here. Again, they're very close to each other. So from here, they will be able to not only obviously take care of the center, but also again take care of the whole district as well. So again, this is now the first balcony. So this is actually the main kind of second level main floor. So if you can see here, not only the area in purple is the first balcony, you're actually coming in on this main stair that you'll see it again on some of the renderings, but you also come in through the front. But if you see on the top and the bottom is also where we have the main restrooms, and we have restrooms on the north, restrooms on the top, and then again some stairs that will take us up and down through the whole facility. And from here, if you see the two arrows toward the back, this is actually from where we're going to be landing to the first balcony and then take us to the second balcony. So this is the second balcony, and in this case, we actually are coming in from the front of the balcony, and at this level, you'll get to see all the auditorium and the seating, and again, you'll see it in some of the renderings coming up. So in this one, hopefully it shows a little bit better, because I know it's a lot of levels in this VPAC. So this one is a cross-section of this Visual and Performing Arts Center. So if you can see, starting from the left, this is the kind of the back of house where we have the dressing and all the support spaces, then the stage area, and with the full fly loft. In this case, we actually also have an orchestra pit that will be mechanized, and it'll take us up and down, right? And some of the other, so it'll take us again to the level of a hobby center, again, for all type of performances, especially when you have a play or some other things that you need to kind of hide the orchestra underneath the orchestra pit. Again, you'll see the orchestra seating, the first balcony, and then the second balcony, and then way at the right, you'll get to see again the lobby that will connect us all the way through. So now looking at some of the exterior and interior design, so this is what you will see, not necessarily from 290, but actually from the newly renovated Maskey, and this is kind of the main approach that we'll get to see the new Visual and Performing Arts Center. And again, it is very important in the Visual Performing Arts Centers that the lobby is actually a very key element. Again, it's not only the first thing that you're welcoming the whole public and the audience, but at the same time, again, it is actually almost like another area for performances and again, displays and galleries. So this is more actually what you would get to see to 290. Not only do we have the main entrance there, but if you can see on the left where it says Cypress-Fairbanks, we also thought it was a great opportunity for almost branding this whole campus, right? And it's branding, and the campus, as you saw, is not only, when we have the administration on the back, but we also have Cy-Fair, Lemkin, and Arnold in this overall kind of major campus. So this will be a great area for branding on 290, again, going north and going south. So now this is walking in from that main lobby entrance. So what you see here, especially on the left, you get to see kind of a little bit of that art display area. That big stair that is connecting us is not only connecting us to the parterre, like I was telling you, like around 5 feet, but actually keeps going all the way up, and it'll take us all the way to the first and second balconies, again, of this two-tier auditorium. So moving a little closer, this is where you see them, again, the approach to the main stair. But again, on the left, you see this area that is just designated, again, for this visual kind of art display. And again, it's for students, for teachers, and again, even for visiting artists. Same thing, so now moving more into the middle of this space, of this big lobby, so what we have to us in the middle is not only also taking care of the actual kind of sculptures and paintings, but it's also the digital kind of art display, so you see that big kind of video screen wall toward the back. And this, again, is areas for pre-function, for mingling between, obviously, a play, but again, this is the same idea, and we actually have, again, from those 240 meetings, an area actually for a lot of displays of all types of arts. So now this is walking in toward the back. So this is where you get to see if you are on the parterre. So it's you get to see the whole auditorium. So taking, again, this is with full planning with our 2 consultants like we were mentioning and the whole team. So it's not only a beautiful space, hopefully everybody thinks that, but again, the same thing is that even the walls that you see on either side have been completely custom designed for the best acoustic and for all performances. There's also going to be some banners that are coming in up and down as well, again, to kind of mitigate the different sounds for the different type of kind of performances that we're going to have. And then even on the stage, you can see there, we're also going to have some custom shells as well that will complete the whole kind of design of the auditorium house. So now this is actually a look from the stage. So this is what the performances or the performers will get to see. So you can clearly see here not only the orchestra and the parterre, but the first balcony and the second balcony. So what this also does, like Brendan was mentioning, is not only make the floor plate of this whole VPEC a little smaller, but at the same time, actually, it brings the audience a little closer. So again, that was one of the great suggestions from our consultants. So it makes it, although for 1,500 people, it makes it a little bit more homey and a little more closer, and the performances are a little bit better. Especially, they get to tell us that it is very nice when you get to see actually the faces of the performances, of the performers. And then this is, like I was mentioning, this is a view again from the second balcony, so you get to see a full scope of all the different points of view from inside of the house. So one other thing also that we were planning ahead, right? So it's not necessarily in this bond scope, but it's actually we're planning ahead of designing for immersive performances. Brendan, so I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, immersive technology is really important. We've learned through working with those nationally renowned consultants, and so as a part of this project, we'll be planning infrastructure in place in the building, so that in the future, if the district wants to add additional technology, additional equipment, that it can be brought into this facility with minimal cost, because we'll do the infrastructure only now, and that would allow for additional events as things change with the curriculum, and there's more gaming, and there's immersive experiences that need to take place in facilities like this that we're seeing nationwide and worldwide. So it will allow for broadcasting of images, for additional light, sound reinforcement, everything that goes into those immersive performances. We'll plan the infrastructure now, and then we'll study what it would take to get the additional equipment or technology in the future.
Yeah, so, and the idea right behind it is the same thing as that we do, and we know we've been thankful enough to do a lot of schools for you. So it's the same thing, thinking of next gen, thinking of what is in the future, right? So what we saw in the future is this type of performances are becoming a little more digital. You're actually projecting images and things to the roof, to the side walls. So again, thinking ahead of what actually technologies, and especially digital technologies, are going to be moving even in the performance venue. So thinking ahead is almost building this building not only for now, but also be future ready. And then just we have two final shots from the outside. So this is, we couldn't, like always, we couldn't stop playing, right? So we did actually what people will get to see when they're approaching and coming into the new VPEC and to the new administration at night, again, for those beautiful performances. So this is right, you can almost see on the floor, this is right after a rain. So, you know, it adds to the drama. And then at the same time, it's actually, we get to see not only the VPAC, but also the new administration on the back. So you get to see how we try to design both buildings, obviously, to stand alone and to be easily identifiable. But at the same time, again, they're part of this campus, so they also have some languages that are tying both of them. And not only this, but again, not forgetting about Cyfair and the other two schools, so bringing a little bit of the red brick and some of the other tones and materials, bringing it over because again, this is going to be a full kind of campus at the end of the day. So I think right after this is a 3-minute animation of the VPAC and a little bit of the administration.
Okay, so that is our visual performing arts presentation. It was a building that we're certainly proud of and is beautiful, but has been the result of all of that hard work and planning, and really supports all these activities and various events and programs throughout Cy-Fair with, again, visual performing arts dance. I mean, we have a flexible space planned in multiple areas. We actually have 3 supporting flexible spaces in addition to the main house and the audience chamber. So we're excited about that. The administration building now, as we move into that, is an efficient building, and that's something we're equally as proud of. At the beginning of this process, when we started all the meetings, we identified some guiding principles. And so what you're seeing up on the screen right now are some of those words that were given to us and that we continue to refer to make sure that this building, as we design it and as we develop it, is customer service based. It's inviting, it's transparent, it provides service. It's not about access, it's not about excess, it's about access. It's responsible and it's next gen. So these, again, are just guiding principles we continue to refer back to throughout the entire process for close to a year and a half, as Dan has mentioned. When we started this project and when the voters went out and approved your bond, Cy-Fair had come a long way. And so this graphic depicts in 1992, when you guys moved into this building, there were 28 campuses to the north and west of 1960 and Highway 6. In 2018, there were 68 of those. So the growth was to the north and to the west. And so it made a lot of sense to locate these 2 facilities and the administration building more to the north and west because it could support that growth that you guys have gone through. When we looked at what the building would look like on the site, we studied various options in terms of volume. We looked at vertical stacking, we looked at a 1-floor option, we looked at a 2-floor option, and we ended up with a 5-story office tower that was a very efficient use that allowed us to get all the departments that are listed on the right-hand side in an appropriate place so that some are more accessible to the public and visitors throughout the day, and others are upstairs a little further and more separated. It also allowed us to include some internal stairs so that there could be more collaboration between departments and smart adjacencies. So when we met with all those departments, we not only learned a lot about each department itself, but who they interact with and who they need to work with the most, and that allowed us to put them on the floor that made the most sense. You see it color-coded with different departments. C&I, which is on the 3rd and 4th level, is about 40% of the office building. Because it's so large, you guys have gone through that growth.
And one thing to just call out here, like Brandon was saying in regards to all the hierarchy, those, and again, from all those, many meetings, the things that were decided to be on the first level of the office building was what I remember actually somebody saying is like a one-stop shop, especially for the teachers, but also for the community. So that's why you see human resources and payroll and insurance to be on the first level, and then directly connected. So it's almost the same departments, but just kind of the secondary portion of the same departments. You have business and finance and student services right on the second level. And then from there, like you see the two in green is curriculum and instruction connected by actually a stair in between, and then some additional spaces all throughout.
Just before you go on,
Yes, sir.
Just going back to the last slide, and Julie remembers this because she led our bond committee. One of the big concerns we have was just accessibility to the administration building, how much more difficult it is to get here than something that's right on 290. So that was a big part of the location also, was making it easily accessible.
It was, thank you. Yeah. So in terms of organization, we stacked the 5 floors in the office tower and separated them from what we call the public area, which is the boardroom, the conference center, and some of the shared spaces. That achieved multiple things: a more safe and secure building, and also allowed the organization of the stacked floors to support the administration better and be able to separate the 2. We've also been continuing to study and to impose a safe and healthy workplace in this building. As you can imagine, it's been an interesting time to design an office tower and a commercial building in what has been 2020. And so we wanted to present some exhibits to show you what we've been studying as a team with the Design and Facilities Group to make sure that this building is as safe, secure, and healthy as possible. We have layered the security, so there will be a vestibule which will allow the public and the employees to come in at one central location, similar to how this building functions right now, only larger and allowing for travel and pedestrian traffic of both the public and the employees so that they're not intermingled or slowing one another down. And then we've added additional layers of security throughout the building. So as I mentioned, separating the public from the office use so that that can be shut down and we can have public events and board meetings and where we need to open the doors, but not permit people to go into the office tower if they shouldn't be there. Additional layers of security are implemented throughout the office tower itself so that a visitor who's supposed to go to one specific department has to go past multiple layers and is only permitted access into the department where they're headed and not just free reign around the whole building. The second graphic shows that we have studied the safe social distancing. We've looked at workstations and benching and made sure that they're sized appropriately so that the density has been paid attention to, and the red dashed circles that you see are a 6-foot proximity. So we have workstations and benching that will be finalized through the selection of furniture, but that allow enough space so that people can feel comfortable and safe in the area that they're working. We also have followed all CDC references and guidance. They do not prescribe how buildings are designed, but they do provide us a lot of guidance in terms of what we should be going through, planning for, and responding to. And so we've met already in advance with operations. We're studying risk mitigations and strategies. They talk about the careful and, the careful selection of furniture, fixtures, and equipment so that we're making sure that we minimize the amount of shared objects and shared spaces. So that goes all the way from the front door, from everything you touch when you show up, to the restroom fixtures and the selection of things with touchless and sensor capabilities so that it's a safe and hygienic design. We've also followed all ASHRAE guidelines. That is the American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers. So they provide us guidance on the ventilation that needs to come into the building, the systems and how they operate, the amount of air exchanges on the air that's circulating in everyone's workspace, and how much outside air you're bringing in and out. It also sets parameters for commissioning of the system. So once it's built, it is back-checked to make sure it's performing the way that it was designed. We have followed all of those guidelines, and we continue to track everything to make sure this is as safe and healthy as possible.
And then jumping in onto all the 5 levels of this office building. So on this first level composite plan, so this is again like Brenda was mentioning, so you saw kind of the building blocks and how we were through many actually kind of charrettes and layouts. We ended up with, again, this very consolidated and efficient layout. If you see right in the middle, especially of the office building, and you'll see it repeat over and over again, very typical of an office building. Again, how when you do a five-level office building, there's a lot of things that actually make it more efficient. For example, all the restrooms and the mechanical and the stairs and elevators, they're all in the central core. So if you've been obviously to any office building, this is exactly kind of the same kind of design. And then based on, again, similar to how we've been doing the schools, thinking of, again, not only of today, but also thinking how even office workplaces are moving into the future. Obviously, like Brendan said, this year is taking into consideration, obviously, COVID and the pandemic, but not only that, but actually taking into consideration what is actually for the future for retention, as you saw on the work cloud, efficiency, collaboration. So kind of the same words that we've been using over and over again, obviously, when we're designing schools. In reality, we're designing schools like that because that's actually how workplaces are, right? So that's the idea of doing, taking all of those items and bringing them to the school. So again, having this opportunity for Cypher, we're bringing kind of the same thing again, thinking of that next gen and not only doing it for today, but be future ready. So as Brendan was mentioning, so this is the main entrance that you guys saw right now for the main secure entry vestibule. So again, many layers of security. The other thing too is that not only do we have, again, the bottom portion and then the office building, but we have this kind of main spine, again, similar to the schools, right, connecting us all the way through. And then you see this area in blue, again, just to emphasize this is a 5-level office building. So this is where all the offices are going, all the departments are going to be allocated. And then this area in red is the public community area. So the public community area here is basically based, we have the boardroom that is going to be seating approximately 250, and is going to be fixed seating in a tier, so actually make it way more efficient. And not only that, but actually this area has been taken into consideration for possible training for teachers and development. Same thing, also having an emergency operating center as well. There will be also another one here in the building. So 2 other areas, again, in case of a Harvey event or any other type of event, this facility is, again, being designed to be able to house that emergency operating center. And then the big block that you see on the bottom, that's actually going to be almost like a mini Berry Center. It's a new conference center that is going to be divided possibly into 6 areas. Again, housing from 300 to even smaller kind of staff and training development for teachers, faculty, and in the community as well. And then going into the 5 sort of levels of the office building, as we were mentioning. So you see here in this first level, we have human resources and payroll and insurance. And you'll get to see, especially that kind of gray block in the middle, it'll keep repeating. One thing to notice here too, and we don't necessarily need to dive too much into the security of it, but again, even when you come in from every kind of elevator lobby or even from stairs, you're going to be kind of trapped in the middle, and then there will be no direct access to any kind of department. That will be only granted through other card access or some other security measures. So again, even if somebody will make it to one level or another, again, you're kind of trapped in the middle, especially you see here on level 3. And there's even a separation, especially on level 3 and 4. Again, you'll see it all in green. So you see this is the 3rd level. This is the 4th level. This is all curriculum and instruction. Again, like Brenda mentioned, is around 40% of the office building. There's even a stair at this level. It's the 3rd level connecting to the 4th. Again, just for better collaboration and flow between, again, the 2 full floors of curriculum and instruction. And then at the last level, we'll have some of the additional, again, departments, the superintendent, the facilities and operations, and et cetera, some of the other ones. So you can see, and there's even a little bit of future kind of development and kind of growth as well designed into the space, again, just to be ready again for future potential growth of the offices for Cyfair. And then just quickly 2 sections. So this is actually a section, again, very similar to what you saw in the auditorium. So this is a section through the main entrance, the hallway, and then especially the boardroom. So you get to see, again, the boardroom is around 250 for capacity. And then this level is actually taking it right at the center of where you saw the red arrow. So this is at the 5-story office building, so you get to see all the 5 levels. And in here, actually depicts really well not only the elevator and the elevator banks and the secure vestibules, but the stair from the 1st to the 2nd, again, connecting that HR, business, finance, payroll, and student services, so with quick access from one level to the other, but also quick access from the 3rd level to the 4th level, again, being all curriculum and instruction. So again, for better flow for that whole department, now that it's being consolidated into one location. And then similar to what you saw right now that we presented on the VPAC, again, just a couple of images of the exterior and the interior for the new office building. So this one here, it's an aerial, again, showcasing both the VPAC at the front and then the office building toward the back. Here is, again, kind of the main approach for the new office building. So you get to see a little bit on the left, again, the big main entrance for the whole facility. And then bring in, again, very similar to an office building, and everything you see on 290 and I-10, right, it's only a 5-level office building. A lot of glass, but also bringing some of that masonry, some of that red brick, especially connecting us to the existing facilities of Cyfair and some of the other campuses in the area. And then again, so this is now the main entrance, the lobby. So here you see the full secure kind of area for the reception and the officer. But again, also a very welcoming and for the community and for the staff. And then as soon as you walk in through that security layer, you get to see again that main kind of hallway that we drew the red kind of arrow. So this is where you get to see the main entrance to the boardroom. Another video screen. And then even in this one, in this one you get to see the boardroom. So again, you see the fixed seating, all the technology, and even surrounding this boardroom, you'll get to see it here, and you get to see it on the hallway. Again, thinking of all the different things that we can showcase. If you see here in your boardroom, you have all the different pictures of obviously your district, and when you walk up and down your ISC right now, you get to see all the art. So again, similar, the same idea is not forgetting even about the history of Cyfair, but also, again, the opportunity for display for all the students and the teachers and faculty. So this one is a view again of that main hallway, taking us into the conference center. So this is again kind of the mini Berry Center, a small conference center that is divisible into 6 different smaller areas. And then lastly, this is one of the many views of the 5-story office building. As Brendan was mentioning, you get to see the workstations. They're 6 feet apart. There's also a little plexiglass, again, just to add some additional protection, and also some acoustical protection between all the office and staff.
And in terms of schedule, we're here tonight, December 14th, to present to you the DD update, but we've made major progress and had a couple of milestones already behind us. You guys approved 2 contracts, which allowed us to go out on site and do early civil work. That was the most cost-effective option in getting the site ready and doing a clearing and grubbing package first, which is complete, and then doing a site improvement package, which allows for the realignment of Matsky Road. We're currently working with CenterPoint on relocating an existing gas line, and what that's going to do is provide a site that once we go out to market and get a bid and award a contract on the buildings, the contractor is going to be able to show up and really be ready to start, to hit the ground running. So thank you again for those. It's helped us keep our critical path. Again, as Dan mentioned and opened up with, we started this process back in 2019, and we worked hard, 240 meetings. We're currently in the middle of CD phase, construction documents, and so we're working hard on getting that set ready to release in February of 2021, which will provide us with an actual budget, a recommendation, a contractor to bring for a recommendation of award to you guys in April. So we will open bids in March and bring a contract award for recommendation in April. That would allow us to set 18 months of construction time for the administration building and about 19 months of construction for the VPAC. So ultimately that will culminate in both facilities being open at the end of 2022 with a phased occupancy and move-in. There's going to be quite a component on this type of building with furniture and technology, but the end of 2022, both buildings would be open. That's what we're working ahead towards. With that, we would open it up for questions, and thank you guys again.
Mr. Covey, before you start opening up for questions, just 2 things I'd like to add. Of course, it was pre-COVID, no doubt, but one of the biggest problems we had in this district was lack of office space, lack of conference room space. And what this building will allow us to have is we're going to have conference space here at this current facility. We'll have some at the new administration building, and then of course the Berry Center. So that will limit the travel of a lot of our employees when we do have meetings. And then secondly, Roy, you may have to help me here, but the administration building, it looks big, but it's actually smaller than a middle school, square footage wise. So I think it's important to point out, and Roy, you can give us the exact.
That's correct. The current square footage for this facility, for the new administration building, is about 221,000 square feet. Middle school, one of our standard middle schools, is anywhere from about 250,000 to about 270,000 square feet. And one thing I'd like to point out is you saw where we're doing workstations. We're doing a lot of different workstations and benching in the office areas. That's a much more efficient way for us. Instead of building out an office, a private office of 120, 150 square feet, you're looking at a workstation that is very cost effective. You see it in the corporate world out there, and that helps actually reduce our footprint down in this facility, making it a very cost efficient building.
Start at the other side. Mr. Jackson, do you have anything?
Well, I had to chuckle because as I took notes in your presentation, you continued to answer the questions that I was writing down. So an excellent presentation. You did talk about, and I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So for the administration building, you talked about security. You also talked about airflow, ventilation, and safety from a sanitation perspective. I have no doubt the same concepts carry over to the fine arts building, but would you touch on those very briefly?
Absolutely. So they do carry over. A lot of these things we kind of establish and follow as a baseline, no matter what type of building we're designing. But with the admin and the VPAC, they're being looked at through the exact same lens. And so every performance criteria that's being applied to one is being applied to the other. With the administration building, the things we had to pay the most attention to are how much outside air you're bringing into the building, how many times you're changing it, treating it, filtering it, and before you're bringing in additional air and kind of repeating that process, if you will, the water treatment inside the building, and of course, the natural light. So we're studying the envelope and the circulation of the air inside of the building the most. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're serving these two buildings with one central plant. And so that allows us an efficient setup in terms of chillers and cooling towers and the core infrastructure that serves both of these buildings to be set up so that they're served in a similar manner. And so we've studied all those ASHRAE guidelines, we've studied the CDC, and we've made sure to pay close attention to the indoor air quality in particular.
And on the auditorium, just to keep answering your question, very similar how we touched on especially on the lobby and the main entrance for the new office building. Same situation on the new VPAC. There is actually a bigger secure lobby at the entrance, and it was assigned again with the whole team, not only for the security purposes, for bag checks and the typical things that you have to do now actually for bigger performances, but at the same time maybe for temperature checks or some other mitigations that we need to do again because of this pandemic.
Thank you. The next question is really for Mark. I know that we're nearing build out, but we've been nearing build out in this district for a long time, and people still keep moving here. Do we, that means you and your team, do you think that enough space has been allocated for future growth?
I think, Teresa, the last number I saw was we're about 83% built out. So certainly we have the possibility of growing to 135 to 140,000 students topped out. But I think they showed some in the picture with the room for added growth. I think we should be okay.
We do, and to add some numbers to that, we currently have about 700 employees that would be housed in the administration building. But meeting with each department, we outline future growth as you guys continue to grow and ultimately get built out. And so the plans that you're looking at accommodate about 800 people and have the additional shell space. So we have planned, very directly, we've planned for the growth now in the building.
Yeah, and actually and I know we keep saying on the many meetings, and actually the majority of them were in Zoom, and I don't know if we had that many because we had Zoom, probably, but it made it actually more efficient. And we even had 3 rounds of programming just to actually find out and come to actually a good balance of what would be good for future growth, for workstations, for directors. So we'll be ready actually as the district grows as well. So there's again a good balance of already future growth embedded into this office design building.
It was thrilling to see the interior of the primary auditorium with the sound attenuation that was being built in. I appreciate that you paid attention to the fact that when this is built, our students will be looking to expand using projections and immersive technology on the inside as well as the ceiling. As you know, that's already in place throughout Europe, throughout New York area, even at Jones Hall Hobby Center. An out-of-the-box question, where we do have that large wall outside, is it possible in the future, if somebody wanted to have an outside concert and have the projection on that big wall that we have, is that a possibility, or is that just silly thinking?
No, it's not silly thinking. It's a possibility, and we have planned for that. So we have infrastructure in place, and we've incorporated a design that outdoor patio, that space in between the VPAC and the admin conference center, if you see it there, could support that type of activity. So we look at having a trellis, a seating area, a gathering space. We've sized it appropriately so that people could get there for a pre-function event before something were to occur in the audience chamber in the auditorium, or after, or during a completely separate event. So we've put infrastructure in place both to support the technology so that you could have something out there, but also in the architecture itself so that the wall could be used. We have a variety of different ideas of how that may develop in the future, and we plan for it now.
Why am I not surprised that you already anticipated the question and you just kind of left it hanging there? I appreciate it. Nice touch. Once again, go over with me the fine arts presentation in the performing and fine arts building itself. Clearly the performing arts, it is absolutely magnificent. I saw you touch on it also in the admin building in a very admirable fashion. Review for me once again how we're going to implement that concept in our arts building.
Sure. So if you want to go back to a couple of the interiors, Jorge, from the time you walk into the building and really anywhere you travel throughout the building, we've implemented arts, history, visual arts to make this facility respond to that. So in the main lobby, when you walk inside, right through the vestibule, we have the art and gallery area that immediately gives us a designated area for the arts. In between the stair, as you continue walking past that, we have some more area for visual graphic display and display of materials. We're working with the Fine Arts Group. We're going to have subsequent meetings where we identify a desired quantity, type, sizes, different displays, mobile, fixed, and some that are lockable. So we're going to provide a wide variety to support all of that. It continues around the floor plan. If you'll go back to the floor plan real quick, we have those support spaces in addition to the main auditorium chamber that will support all of the arts. So we have a small theater to the south of the main auditorium, right there in purple, small theater, that will allow for another activity to simultaneously take place, even if there's something going on in the auditorium, but also supports events before and after a major event taking place in the auditorium. So if you're doing UIL competitions, sight reading, there are very specific requirements and rules that have to take place. The facility is planned to support those. Up at the north side of the plan, we have the dance studio, which is a dedicated dance studio, but again supports a variety of different activities inside of the main auditorium and serves as one of those secondary flexible spaces. And then we have the visual arts room, which we envision having some portable, reconfigurable type of displays that could be brought in there, set up for an arts exhibit, an art show. It really is a flexible space that can support it. So we have space in the lobby, space in those three secondary spaces, if you will, the rooms, and then on the main stage, of course, with the primary auditorium of 1,500 seats.
Yeah, and a lot of the planning with Director Mary Running, with Dr. Macias and the whole team, it's also been heavily based on the UIL and the One Neck Place. So even the dance studio and the visual arts, if you kind of see, there's a little dash area in between them. It's for all the different type of rehearsals and practice rooms. And again, it's all part of, again, the UIL and the One Neck Play. And I think they were saying if this facility is to this level, it'll be one of the major hubs again for hosting those events.
You talked about the orchestra pit being able to modify it, raise it, and lower it. You did not talk about what you were going to do on the performing stage. Do you have anything to dazzle us there?
Well, we do. This stage is sized for a large group. The orchestra pit itself can host 30 to 35 musicians. And then when you put the shell in place on the main stage, it can fit a 138-piece band within the shell, according to our theatrical performers, our theatrical consultants. So what they've brought to the table early is being the nationally renowned experts telling us what we need to pay attention to now that will allow you for flexibility, a wow factor, but planning appropriately too, so that we're doing things that support the size of groups that you're bringing in. We've gone through and inventoried what type of performances do you have, how often are they, how big are they, and we size the stage to support every one of them.
And then one final question, so I can pass the microphone. You know, in the last, we've had several downtown floods, and the alley has flooded several times. Once was just water coming in. The second time was actually reverse hydrolysis, right? Do we have protection here to protect these buildings from potential flooding?
We do. We've sized the civil infrastructure on site with the early packages and ultimately with the building package to make sure that the buildings are not only set above a floodplain and an acceptable level for construction post-Harvey, but that we get as much of that site into the back detention pond and ultimately off-site as soon as we can. We know that this area is a little prone to challenges and to problems because the whole region has some civil storm challenges. But we've done everything on this site. If we go back to the site plan, we've worked in sizing this detention pond to the north side of the site along Cypress North Houston at about 4 acres. And when we first sat down, based on a 26-acre plot of land, you were going to need about 6 acres of land just dedicated post-Harvey and how much water you need to detain on site. Through those 2 early site packages, we're down to about 4 acres, and that freed up 2 acres for our paving, our building, and all the roadways and the access that needed to go out here. So that pond will hold water, but it is a true detention pond. So it is sized for the 100-year event, and in that case that an extreme event happened, the detention pond is sized to store it and then allow it to release into the regional detention area.
Excellent. Magnificent
Mr. Jackson,
performance and work. Yes, sir.
just one more little bit of information on that, and I'm going to turn it over to the expert, Roy. Roy, when we redesign the area behind Cy-Fair High School, Lambkin, and Arnold, we're also planning on addressing more of that, correct?
Absolutely. In fact, we're actually looking for some land north of Cypress, North Houston right now for additional detention. Obviously, PVK and our civil engineers are studying all that with the improvements that are being proposed for the main campuses there and what the impact that's going to have. And we will probably have some additional on-site capacity as part of that master plan, but we're also looking at options to acquire some land just north of us that may be available for us to do additional detention. That way it allows us to maximize the use of the existing land on our property.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Ms. Blacksher.
What an excellent presentation, gentlemen. And let me just say, wow. I knew with PPK doing this that we would definitely have the wow factor, and it is definitely 2 beautiful buildings. I have some questions that I know you have already addressed, but were not talked about in the presentation. So for clarification, how many elevators will be in the Performing Arts Center and in the administration building?
Sure. So in the Visual Performing Arts Center, we have 2 elevators. They'll be located on each side of the main auditorium, in addition to the stairs, so that there's plenty of circulation at all levels from the stage and the lower seating, the parterre, and 2 balconies. 2 of them there. And then in the administration building, we have 4 passenger elevators, which will be sized appropriately at the right speed, appropriate speed for a 5-story office building, and an additional 1 freight elevator, which will allow us for the heavy items coming in and out.
Right. And then for the auditorium, how many seats or spaces will you have allocated for patrons that would be in wheelchairs?
So I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we have dispersed them throughout various levels because ADA requires that we provide that spot for someone with a physical impairment at multiple levels. So we have several of them, and they're spread throughout the different levels based on the 1,500 seat count. Okay,
good. And then what provisions have been made for anyone that might have be attending an event and has an audio disability?
So audio enhancement is, there's provisions required in the code, and then there's an AV side, and Jaffe Holden is helping us with that to make sure that we can distribute sound effectively all the way to the back. We studied that at a high level early on when we looked at this building at first and took 1,500 seats and laid them out with either one balcony or with no balconies, and it got so far away. That was one of the main drivers with, when you get to the back of that auditorium, you're going to lose the ability to recognize a performer's face, which is a big detraction, especially
Right.
when you have student performers, and you're going to lose audibility. And so we're implementing speakers and an AV system that will ensure that that is circulated all the way to the back and at all levels.
Okay, good. Thank you. I don't have any other one.
Mr. Ryan?
I don't really have any questions, but probably more comments, and Debbie kind of touched on it. Anytime there's a project and it has the letters PBK, you know it's going to be first class, it's going to be well thought out. And as y'all were going through this, I got back to thinking when on the Berry Center, and when you gave us that presentation, and look back so many years later about how y'all's forward thinking has been so beneficial as our district has just continued to grow with students, and the communities around there have continued to grow. And there was grief when, that we took when we did that, and those that were complaining look dumb today, but they kind of look dumb then. But so I know this is going to be a first-class project. But one thing that stood out when we had our little break, and I went to say hi to Eric. The first thing he said was, he goes, "Man, y'all's construction team during all this planning has been remarkable." And Roy, Matt, I don't know who else is here on that team.
Dan and Shannon.
Hey, seriously, thank all of you, because the work that y'all put in makes the entire district look good. But it's also shows what good stewards the district is of the tax dollars and the bond money that we get, because everything that y'all do is so efficient, and it's just amazing. So I'm really grateful for PBK, but also for our entire construction team. You guys are truly remarkable, so thank y'all.
Dr.
That's it.
Ogletree?
Thank you.
Echo Don. This is very impressive, and we are very thankful for our relationship with PBK down through the years. I do have a question on the Performing Arts Center. The small theater, what is the capacity, and what is that planned for?
So we have 200 seats planned into the small theater, which is a retractable seating system. So that can be pulled out of the way and used for dance or a larger group orchestra, or it can be expanded out and seat people for a small performance. We've also planned the areas around it. You see the yellow circulation space, so that one group could be coming in while another group is exiting. And that was really important for our theater planners, so that it provided the most flexible use of that space and allowed easy transitions in and out, so that you can use it for those various activities.
Okay. Also, will there be any use of the LED, those new fancy lights and visuals and all that in this facility?
There are in both of them, and so the cost of LEDs have come down. We're utilizing more of them just in the overall building concepts, but in the VPAC, we've highlighted on a couple of interior shots inside the main house that we're planning for LEDs inside the auditorium that could change color. And so that would allow you quickly to customize the space based on the user group, the high school, the event, and the people going into that space. And so, Jorge, we have a couple images. One of them's with blue, and then we have another one later that's that has an orange tint to it. And so it just provides maximum flexibility. It's the best technology. It's the lowest energy cost. It makes a lot of sense, and it provides us with flexibility. We'll also have LEDs out in the lobby space and in some of the pre-function areas, as well as the main auditorium, kind of the star fields that we show. That may be LED and or fiber optic as that becomes more widely used and provides flexibility.
That's great, great. And I like the opening statement when you shared all the different departments that you met with in planning the administration building and understanding the flow and the culture and designing it according to how the different departments operate. And so that is really good, and we are very impressive tonight. Thank you.
Ms. Heineman.
Well, here we are, 2 years after we first met with a community group, 50 community members, parents, grandparents, clergy, retired folks, teachers, students, who I ran into one the other day, who's since graduated, but he was part of our community group that came together and looked at the needs of the district. And that community group chose to include the Visual and Performing Arts Center and a new administration building, and submitted that to our board. I'm just so excited to see that hard work come to fruition and to be able to see this vision start to come to life. I'm literally I'm just so excited, because that group of community members saw that there was a need for us to nurture and grow our performing arts for our students. And I'm so excited for students to have a facility like this to showcase their work and to hone their craft and to develop those skills. I'm pleased that our employees who work so hard will have a good work environment for them to do their work and to serve our district in. I'm grateful for the investment in the future of our district, and I'm grateful for the voters of our community who overwhelmingly voted to support the bond program to pay for these projects. That shows not only does the community support our district and the educational efforts, but also they know that we need to invest in facilities to support those. I agree with what Mr. Ryan said, that we trust that the district and our partners are good stewards of our tax dollars, and that I feel comfortable that we will have the most effective and efficient project when we come to conclusion. And thank you for your hard work. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So just a little research up here. The Hobby Center seats 3,100. The Stafford Center in Fort Bend, 1,150. And Alley is 800. So that would put us around second place as far as being able to seat, which is wonderful that you have located it on 290 where it's extremely visible to 290 traffic, and 290 is not looking like it's lessening up at all. Being able to put these side by side and being able to utilize cost efficiency is just amazing. So I just congratulate all of you. You know, I'm sure that y'all did this in spite of Eric, but everybody else I think did a great job. I will ask one question, well, maybe two, but one question, and Mr. Jackson kind of touched on it. The orchestra pit, and when you first started showing it, I thought, I wonder where the orchestra is going to be. Whenever you're able to lower that orchestra pit for, what'd you say, 35 instruments, somewhere around there, does that take away from the stage, or does it take away from seating in the auditorium?
No, it's planned at the front of the seating. It doesn't take away. It's joined directly to the stage. So when it's up, it makes the stage larger. When it goes down, you don't have to remove seats. That's another design approach. We wanted to make sure we didn't do that in this facility so that you still can have the 1,500 people when using the orchestra pit.
That's great, because we've been to a number of musicals where they are incorporating the bands and the orchestras with putting on musicals, so I appreciate you doing that. The other thing that I was really tickled with, because I think we had a concept a few months ago, And I was a little concerned that we had Cyfair High School right next door, which, isn't it amazing that they built Cyfair High School, which is almost directly in the middle of this school district now, and it's the oldest high school we've got. But it is a design. It is reflective of that time frame, but we've used it over and over again. But what I will say, I'm glad to hear that you're taking some of the color or the brick that's from the Cyfair High School, so it doesn't look quite as different. But I also think it's really pretty cool to be able to show where we've grown from and what we're into now. And to all those who doubted about the Berry Center, I'm going to tell you, in 10 years, this is going to be awesome. So thank y'all very much. Anybody have anything else? Dr. Henry, do you have anything? You will be on the 6th floor, right?
5th.
Oh, no, you're on the 6th. You didn't know
Well, I
that?
may be on the 6th floor. I would just say, certainly, and Julie talked a lot about everybody, but really appreciate Debbie and Julie. They both were not on the board when they chaired our last 2 bond committees, and it's paying off for the students of Cyfair ISD. And I can tell you that when you see the joy in the faces of our kids when they're able to do what they love, whether it be athletics, fine arts, whatever it is, it makes it worth it. So I'm waiting for those young people to walk in the first time they see that theater and think, oh my God, this community cares about me. And I think that's what it says.
Little add on there, and there's a lot of kids that are not going to be able to experience this past high school, and giving them this opportunity in their high school years is just wonderful. So thank you again. Great presentation. I look forward to y'all doing wonderful things and watching. I heard about the statue, and I hope you don't use that. But anyway, thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The board will now proceed with the consensus action items portion of the agenda. 8A, the board will consider approving the minutes of the November 9th, 2020 regular board meeting. That's on consent. Are there any questions tonight or anything? Nope, we're okay. Agenda item 9A, lead safely retention stipend, was approved by the board work session on Thursday, December the 10th, 2020. The following non-consent action items were moved to consensus during the board work session on Thursday, December the 10th, 2020. 9D, the board will consider authorizing the superintendent to execute a memorandum of understanding with the University of Texas at Dallas, University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio for speech pathology field placement. 9E, the board will consider approving the attached list of facilities for off-campus physical education Category 1 for the 2020-2021 school year. I will state, I don't think you're going to find this in charter schools that their kids are going to be going out and able to do PE courses outside of the charter school. I'm just saying it. I haven't done any study, but I just got a feeling. 9F, the board will consider approving the memorandums of understanding and interlocal agreements with partner universities, colleges, and alternative certification programs for student-teacher placements for the 2020-2021 school year. 9G, the board will consider approving on first readings additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies. 9G1, FB local, equal education opportunity revised. 9G2, FNG local, student rights and responsibilities, student and parent complaints and grievances revised. 9H, the board will consider approving on second reading additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies. 9H1, BF local board policies are revised. 9H2, DED local compensation and benefits, vacations on holidays are revised. 9HE, DIA local employee welfare, freedom from discrimination, harassment, and retaliation are revised. 9H4, DMD local professional development, professional meetings and visitations, a delete. 9H5, ED local organization of instruction, a delete. 9H6, EI local academic achievement, revised. 9H7, FD local admissions, revised. 9H8, FDE local admissions, school safety transfers are revised. 9H9, FEB local attendance accounting, a revise. 9A, the board will consider awarding bids and contracts and are authorizing purchase orders as recommended in the posted agenda items. 9I1, automotive fuels. 9I2, automotive lubricants. 9I3, glass repair service, building. 9I4, lidding film for nutrition services. 9I5, metal fabrication and repair service. 9I6, physical education dress wear. 9I7, security courier services. 9I8, shelf-stable milk and meals for nutrition services. 9I9, window coverings. 8J, the board will consider approving construction proposals and contracts paid from bond funds to the recommended contractors and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents related to such contracts as follows. 9J1, 2019 Francone and Owens Elementary School renovations. 9J2, 2020 Cy-Fair FCU Stadium renovation. 9J3, 2020 Cypress Ridge Detention Pond improvements. 9J4, 2020 Eldridge Ag Center fans. 9K, the board consider the approval and execution of the plat for Matsky Road realignment. 9L, the board will consider granting a temporary construction easement to Harris County for the construction of concrete sidewalks along adjacent roadways at Copeland Elementary School, Holmesley Elementary School, and Langham Creek High School. If any board member wishes to remove one or more items for further discussion, please do so at this time. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consensus items as recommended or amended. May I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the consensus items as recommended and or amended.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Blackshear. Any questions or concerns? All in favor, raise your right. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
I know somewhere in all these contracts that we approved, we're talking about technology. Linda or Karen or somebody else, can you give us a 3-sentence update about the deliverability of technology for the contracts that we approved earlier? Where do we stand on those?
Yes, sir, Mr. Jackson. As you recall, in July, the board approved the CFISD LTE one-to-one program, and at that time, we ordered 79,500 devices. We quickly learned that Lenovo, along with several other manufacturers, were experiencing manufacturing and supply chain issues, and we learned that our order was delayed. As a result, the technology department generated a stopgap plan with which we collected, updated, and distributed 52,000 devices throughout the fall to our Connect students. So we've been able to meet all of the Connect needs this fall. In parallel with that, we also worked with Lenovo, and we've been in touch with them twice a week throughout the fall, and in November we began receiving our devices from our original order. As of before Thanksgiving, we worked with curriculum to determine our distribution order, and the order was to complete all the high schools in their entirety first. Before Thanksgiving, we began with Cy Ridge. On November the 12th, we completed Cy Ridge, and the next week we completed 2 additional schools, Cy Lakes and Cy Park. After Thanksgiving, we had 3 high schools that we completed, Cy Springs, Jersey Village, and Cy Falls. Last week, our team worked with the high schools, and we worked around end-of-course testing and the virtual learning days. And so we were able to complete 2 high schools last week, Cy Creek and Cy Fair. This week, we will complete all of the high schools. Today, we completed Langham Creek High School. Wednesday will be Cy Ranch. Thursday will be Cy Woods, and Friday will be Bridgeland. As of that time, we will have, I believe the number is 76,609 Chromebooks distributed to our students. That will be 53% of all elementary students will have a Chromebook, 46% of all middle school students will have a Chromebook, and as of Friday, 100% of all high school students will have a Chromebook.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
And Marnie, thank you for letting me ask that question.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Ryan and a second by Ms. Blackshear. All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. That's unanimous. The following non-consensus action items remained on non-consensus. The board consider authorizing the superintendent to add additional local leave sick days to board policy DEC local for employees for COVID quarantine and isolation for the spring 2020 semester. I believe we have a brief presentation by Dr. Stewart and Charita Franklin. Do we?
Well, Sharita kind of did her impromptu presentation on Thursday, so she really did. So
Well, you know, Don wasn't here.
Okay.
No, I'm good. We don't need to do another presentation.
But what I was going to say is we're happy to answer questions about, because
Okay.
the
Anybody have any
presentation was very
questions for
brief.
Charita? Anyone? Can we move this? I need a motion.
No, I need a motion. I'll move, Mr. President, I move that the Board of Trustees authorize the superintendent to add additional local leave days to DEC local for employees for COVID quarantine and isolation for the spring 2020 semester in the amount and for the duration determined necessary in the superintendent's discretion.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Heineman. Any questions or concerns? All in favor, raise your right hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you. 9C, the board will consider waiving provisions in BE local board meetings for the remainder of 2020-2021 school year. We had a discussion on this on Thursday also. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir. I move that the board waive the provision in the BE local providing for board work sessions prior to the regular board meetings for the remainder of the 2020-2021 school year.
Thank you, Ms. Blacksher. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Any questions? All in favor, raise your right hand, and that's unanimous. Thank you. On December the 11th, 2020, the following non-consensus agenda item was added to an addendum to the December 2020 board meeting agenda. 9M, the board consider approving a resolution requesting Texas Governor Greg Abbott to include public school district personnel in the official expert vaccine allotment panel's definition of frontline workers. I'm going to ask Mr. Jackson to please read the resolution. Please, sir.
And Bob, with my voice, I may need help midway
Okay.
through.
I'm following you.
Very good. Whereas the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Board of Trustees Board recognizes that the United States government, the state of Texas, and local health authorities have declared a disaster and emergency regarding coronavirus, COVID-19, hereinafter COVID-19, and its spread across the state and nation, and continue to extend these declarations. Whereas the board recognizes that COVID-19 is an unforeseen and an unavoidable emergency of urgent public necessity, that the World Health Organization has declared COVID-19 a pandemic, and that additional emergency declarations have been and will continue to be issued in the coming days, weeks, and months. Whereas the public schools of the state of Texas impact millions of students and personnel and have a profound effect on educational, social, economic, and public health issues, and are integral to the general welfare of the state. Whereas the public schools of the state of Texas are charged with the task of caring for, educating, nourishing, and providing extracurricular activities to millions of Texas students 5 days a week, thus allowing a vast number of parents the opportunity to engage in gainful employment to support and nurture wholesome home environments for our Texas students. Whereas the public schools of the state of Texas are dependent on dedicated school personnel from administrators, teachers, educational and professional specialists to clerical, maintenance, transportation, child nutrition, security, and other support staff to conduct the day-to-day operations of our schools and ensure the goal of efficient delivery of instruction. Whereas, although our district and our personnel, as well as districts across the state, have responded heroically to the challenges brought forth by COVID-19 regarding the delivery of instruction, issues persist in the quality of learning, especially among students that would benefit from live face-to-face instruction. Whereas a substantial number of school district employees are more susceptible to complications and/or death from COVID-19 due to age or pre-existing medical conditions. Whereas the board, having a substantial public interest in protecting the health and safety of its staff, students, and community, therefore desires to ensure that the school district and community be prepared to the fullest extent possible in light of COVID-19. Whereas it appears that though the significant efforts of the public and private sectors, effective vaccines may soon be available to administer to our citizens in an effort to thwart the spread of COVID-19 pandemic and return our lives to a semblance of normality and stability. Whereas the state of Texas convened a team of external and internal subject matter experts into the expert vaccine allocation panel to develop vaccine allocation strategies as recommendations to the Texas Commissioner of Health, including guiding principles for the equitable distribution of the vaccine across the state, which appropriately prioritizes making vaccines available to frontline workers and vulnerable populations. And Bob, if you'll take over for me.
Sure. Whereas, in order to balance the educational, health, and economic issues described above, the Governor of Texas, the Texas Commissioner of Education, and the Texas Education Agency prescribed guidelines and directives to public school districts to currently make available live instruction to those students who request it and to continue to aggressively phase in live instructions for all students in the near future. Whereas the board and administration are following advice and directives from federal, state, and local authorities in responding to COVID-19. Whereas the Texas Public School District personnel are essential in the day-to-day operations of a district as described above and critical for the resumption of live face-to-face instructions. Whereas Mr. Ruben Cortez Jr., District 2, member of the State Board of Education, recently requested of Governor Abbott that school district employees statewide be defined as frontline workers for purposes of vaccine allocation. The board wishes to join Mr. Cortez and support him in his request to the governor. It is therefore resolved that the Board of Trustees finds a substantial public purpose exists in the requesting of the governor and the EVAP that all public school district personnel be designated frontline workers, as that term is defined by the Expert Vaccine Allocation Panel, and as essential frontline workers to be given appropriate priority in the statewide administration of COVID-19 vaccine as it becomes available. The above resolution is passed and adopted this 14th day of December 2020 by Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Board of Trustees. May I have a motion? You don't have to repeat that.
Mr. President?
Do we have a motion?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tom.
Go ahead.
I would like to move that we adopt the resolution, which has just been presented, requesting Governor Abbott to include public school district personnel in the official expert vaccine allotment panel's definition of frontline workers.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree. Any questions? All in favor, raise your right hand, and it's unanimous. May I now have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'll look back. We will have the following superintendent's briefing. The board will, the superintendent will provide information regarding district events, items of community interest now. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Covey. Just very quickly before I start that briefing, I want to just thank three groups very quickly. You can go back to this summer, and I don't know if we ever thought we would have as successful semester as we've had. So just three groups that I'd like to thank very quickly is our reopening committee that started meeting last spring, that had school administrators, it had teachers, it had instructional aides, it had parents on that committee. and just everyone who put together a great plan. Ms. Hull led that. She was kind of the chairman of that group, and I just thank them so much for putting a great plan together to get us to this point. And then to add to that, the Board of Trustees here that had confidence in us to make sure that we could make that plan happen. And certainly we hadn't batted 1,000, but it's gone so much better than I think anyone could have predicted. And that's good planning, that's good support from the board. And then finally, our employees, especially those on the campus who executed the plan to perfection, and so appreciative of teachers, instructional aides, administrators on the campus, and then all the support personnel that make it happen for our students. So it took a lot of people to get us to this point, and just wanted to highlight those three groups of people, although there are certainly thousands more that got us to this point. So thank you for that. December 21st through January 1st, all campuses and the Instructional Support Center will be closed to the public for the holidays. Classes will resume on Monday, January 4th. Additionally, Monday, January 18th will be a student and staff holiday honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. If there is an emergency to report during the holidays, please contact CFPD at 281-897-4337. Certainly, I would extend my warmest holiday wishes. I hope that everyone will be extremely cautious, extremely safe, not only with the virus, but just as you're on the road, and just young people, while you have maybe a little free time, to please be careful, and hope it's a joyous holiday season for all. And while I'm wishing you that joyous holiday, please remember that you're not allowed to discharge fireworks on CF-ISD property. We want to make sure that all of our buildings are here for you when we come back on January 4th. So thank you for your cooperation there, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and a great holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. The board will now proceed with the discussion portion of the agenda. 10A, following the superintendent's briefing, the board will discuss the superintendent's evaluation in a closed session pursuant to section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. May I have a motion to move into closed session?
Mr. President, I move that we go into closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Thank you, Ms. Blackshear. All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. Unanimous. The board will now move to closed session under Texas Government Code Open Meetings Act for the purposes stated in the posting of this meeting. If the board determines that any final action, final vote, or decision on any matter considered in the closed session is required, such final vote, action, or decision shall be taken upon the reconvening of this meeting in open session or at a subsequent meeting of the board in open session after proper notice has been posted. Everyone, please be safe. Practice the old social distancing and keep your mask on. It's not just about us, it's about everybody. We are now adjourned. Thank you for being with us.